Now they're waiting to tell us what happened. Herbert, Lacey and Coulthard with Steve Ryder.
An extraordinary race, and from the point of view of British motorsport, a quite amazing winner. Johnny Herbert, in all honesty, did you ever think you'd see this day?
Probably a year ago, no. Definitely not. It's a fantastic feeling. I couldn't believe it when they came over the radio and said Damon and Michael had gone off. And then obviously he sort of came up behind me and got by, and then they warned me just as he got near me that he was on a 10 seconds. So I thought, well, I'll have a little play with him and then, you know, let him go. And I think maybe we played a bit too close, I'm not sure.
You were battling quite hard for a couple of laps. Was that before you heard the information?
That was after, actually. So that's a bit silly myself. But.
Describe the emotions you felt up on the top step of the podium at the British Grand Prix.
Well, it's fantastic being that all the problems I've had like 6 years ago with breaking the feet. I said this more or less when I finished second in Barcelona, but this is more special. It's more what I've always wanted to do. My wife's been very supportive the whole way through, so it's down to her that she's helped me through. And
the closing stages of the race, so many thoughts must have been going through your mind. Any negative thoughts looking at the sky or the car?
Well, I was looking at the sky, yeah, but I could see it coming. I thought, don't you dare. And luckily enough, it stayed there. So, but it was just really trying to just concentrate on what was going on with Jean behind. You never know what can happen anyway. So it was just concentrate and keep a nice pace.
Well done, terrific. And Jean Lacey in second place. In the closing stages, did you think you had any prospect of catching Johnny?
Honestly, when I was at the beginning second behind him, I tried and I said why not, but it was anyway very difficult because he was pushing hard. And by radio they asked me to slow down because I had not oil enough in the engine. In high speed corner I had some peak of oil pressure, so I tried to slow down, but anyway I'm very pleased to be second here in the British Grand Prix. It's for Ferrari, it's very difficult race, so it's not so bad to have 6 points now.
Amazing feature of your race was the start, blasting up from 6th to 2nd off the start. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was so surprised because I'm complaining of my system in the Ferrari. I never start very well this season, and I was so surprised because I complain every day, please do something for the clutch because I cannot start like that. And now I don't know what I will be able to say.
It was a blinding start. But David, in third, bad luck. And do you have any arguments at all about the pit lane speeding penalty?
Well, no, none at all, because after my first pit stop, I lost some of the electrics in the car. And I thought immediately, I don't know what lap to stop because I stopped early because I was stuck behind Michael, and I thought it was Gerhard, but was it Jean that was second, did you say?
Indeed.
Oh, well, that was an amazing start. Unbelievable. Well, anyway, so I stopped early, and then immediately as I left the pits, then the electrics had failed in the car, and I thought, well, okay, 5 more laps and the gearbox will explode. But it just kept going and going, and then, of course, when I saw that Damon and Michael went off and I could challenge for Johnny, I thought, well, this is great. But I knew, because my electrics had failed, that I had no way of knowing what speed I was doing in the pit lane. I was speeding, rules are rules, you pay the price.
You presumably didn't see anything of the going of Damon and Michael, but have you heard any reaction to it as yet?
No, I just saw on the big screen during the race, I saw them touch and go into the gravel, so I have to say that whoever supplies the big screens, it's fantastic for watching the race. So I saw them go off and I thought, there's going to be something interesting to discuss afterwards. It kind of makes the whole battle between those two more interesting. But you know, for me, the main thing was obviously just trying to make the car get to the finish, because I thought after my pit stop it was impossible. And then when I was leading, I thought, well, this is fantastic. And then, I have to say that if I was going to finish, if I wasn't going to win and anyone was going to win, I couldn't be happier than for Johnny to win. I think it's fantastic for him, everything he's been through, and I'm very happy for him.
Yes, congratulations again, Johnny. That's very generous from David. Was it 71st Grand Prix this? Give us an idea of the sort of hard work and the sacrifice that has gone behind today.
Well, it's just really, when I had the accident, it was just really getting everything so it worked good enough to actually drive again, and it was sort of touch and go right at the beginning if I would sort of keep the left one, but luckily I've kept that one. But if it was the other way around, I've got enough movement on the throttle, but I wouldn't have it if it was, as I say, on the other foot, because it hasn't got enough movement. I've got enough just to do the clutch, which is fine. And so when I got over that, got in the Benetton obviously in '89, did that one race in Brazil, and I thought, cool, this is easy. And then it hit me quite hard in Imola and Monaco the following races, and obviously it just wasn't really, my foot wasn't up to the job, I couldn't brake or anything. And at the time, when I got stopped, obviously it was the best thing I think that happened. Going to Japan was a very good move, because it got me away from the limelight, it got me lots of testing, lots of mileage, and it just, I was able to actually then make the feet strong enough again to actually drive properly. And when I came back with Lotus in '91, thankfully for Peter Collins once again, who's really got me here, I was able to drive again, and against Mika for 2 years was really, you know, a good challenge. So it's been very, very hard. And as I say, my wife has been supportive the whole way through, way back since the accident. So it's a fantastic day, and especially at Silverstone.
We're all delighted for you. Johnny Herbert, winner of the British Grand Prix. Well done.
Thanks.
Johnny Herbert's wife is Becky, and she will be as delighted as the rest of us are. But 3 incredibly memorable quotes. I thought I'd have a little play with him, says Johnny Herbert, apropos of David Coulthard, who's fighting his way past. And Jean Alesi, who had been moaning, we all know how much he'd been moaning about his clutch in the Ferrari, and he goes from 6th to 2nd by the first corner, and now he's embarrassed because he doesn't know what he's going to say about it. And what a cheerful, professional, likeable chap David Coulthard is, having bitterly lost a potential victory in his 16th Grand Prix, at his home Grand Prix too, to be able to congratulate Johnny Herbert as openly and as happily as he did. Jonathan.
And in case you wondered what exactly Johnny Herbert was talking about in terms of his accident, he actually had a huge accident in Formula 3000 back in 1988. That's the category that's just one down from Formula 1. He was very much on the ascent then, and that was at Brands Hatch, and he had a coming together with another car when his car then turned right and hit the barriers head on at about 140 miles an hour. And as a result of doing that, Johnny's feet were both badly broken. His feet were sticking indeed out of the front of the car, and then that he was likely to even lose a leg. It really was quite a dramatic accident. He made a great recovery, and he could have even have lost his left leg, as he said.
Well, as you can see, the rain is now really coming down. Thank heavens it didn't affect the British Grand Prix, although it's certainly going to affect the Silverstone round of the British Touring Car Championship. But what about that manoeuvre that's going to be talked about for a very, very long time? Damon Hill challenging Michael Schumacher to regain the lead of the British Grand Prix, with both of them having made their last pit stop. They turn into Bridge Corner, Schumacher on the left, Damon Hill on the right. You can see how Damon is getting closer and closer, sees what he thinks is his opportunity, dives inside Schumacher, who turns in. They collide inevitably across the grass, off the tarmac, into the gravel. First the Benetton and then the Williams, to destroy the hopes of both of them of winning the British Grand Prix. Damon for the 2nd time in succession, Schumacher for the 1st time in succession. Well, let's look at it again.
So again, Hill comes up, and he's really going a lot quicker than Schumacher at this stage. Schumacher, I think, had no idea that Hill was going to try and have a go there. That place is not really an overtaking spot here at Silverstone, so I think Schumacher would have been concentrating on slowing his car down from 155, down through the gears, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, turning left into Brooklands and to Priory, and as he turned left into that, Hill was committed. He was coming up the inside. Here's another look. He's a long way back, you see, and some flashes from the back of the Benetton. That's normal from the gear changing with the engine revving going down. It just seemed to me like a bit of a rush of blood to the head for Damon there. The only possible excuse, shall we say, for Damon, quite frankly, is here's an on-board one. Again, looking up, going in the inside, but Schumacher is taking his line, frankly. Hill was going really very quickly indeed. The only possible explanation from Damon's point of view is whether or not Schumacher had some problem with his car and actually braked a lot earlier. Now here's from Schumacher on board. This is what it was like for Schumacher, and that was after he'd been hit, the car spinning around. They probably hit at about 70 or 80 miles an hour, so you can see how strong these cars are. So in summary, really, I think unless Schumacher had a problem with his car, then it was him being just over ambitious.
Look at that steering wheel. Damon had the presence of mind to let go of it, because drivers have broken their thumbs in the past hanging on to a steering wheel that's wildly flailing about in front of them. Well, I suppose one has to say, and this is in no way a plea of mitigation, that it's honours even. because Schumacher took Damon Hill out of the Australian Grand Prix and thereby won the World Championship last year, and now the reverse has happened. And now here is Damon himself talking to Tony Jardine.
What happened, Damon?
Well, I've had time to calm down, of course. So I would like this to be my official, considered reaction to what happened, and that is that we're having a great race. It was going to be an exciting race. I thought I saw an opportunity that I could take advantage of, and I'm afraid that Michael is a harder man to pass than that, and we had an accident, and I would describe it as a racing accident. And I'm very disappointed for all the fans, everyone here who came along and were cheering for those few laps when I was catching Michael. I'm also very, very disappointed for the Williams team, who did a superb effort all weekend. And I'd just like to say that that's really all I'd like to say. I've got, the only thing now I've got on my mind is my wife Georgie, who's, as you know, is due to have a baby, and in the coming week I expect that's what will be happening and will be more on my mind than anything else. The championship is still wide open, and I think we've shown that we can compete against Michael Schumacher and we can beat him, and the championship is still very much a possibility.
Damon,
That's all I want to say.
thank you.
Well, don't leap to judgments. You weren't sitting in the car trying to pass the world champion, nor was I. But you've heard what Damon Hill had to say. What did Michael Schumacher think about it?
With Schumacher, it looks like you had it in the bag, one-stop strategy. Then what were your views on the incident?
It was completely unnecessary in my view what Damon has done there. There was no room for him to go there. He came from nowhere, as I got told from my engineers. And I don't see the sense of doing things like this, even in front of your home crowd. You have to keep your nerves and your temperament in a normal way, not to make it dangerous to anyone. And I mean, it's more or less a situation like in Adelaide, where he tried to dive inside where there was no room also. So I had twice an incident like this where it was absolutely unnecessary, and I can't understand this, to be honest.
But you feel he was a bit hot-headed, got carried away?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, he was probably too much under pressure and tried to make something which wouldn't work.
What about that dice between the two of you in the closing laps? Do you think you could have stayed ahead?
Yes, I'm quite sure. At this point, he was certainly on newer, fresher tyres with the same fuel level. But towards the end, the tyres would have leveled off from him, and then I should have pulled off a gap. I knew that overtaking is very difficult, so I just wasn't worried at all, to be honest. I knew where I had to be quick in the fast complex on backhits and always before the long straights, and I was quick there. In the slow corners there was no reason to push too hard for me, because there was no way to me to overtake, because I had the same situation with Jean Alesi before where I couldn't overtake him, and I never tried a situation like this.
The Benetton strategy looked like it was going to pay off yet again.
Yeah, I think the strategy under normal circumstances would have been slower, but it paid off to come out in front of them after their last stop, and that was our target. We managed, even after a bit of a disaster at the beginning of the race, after being held up by Jean Alesi. I still managed to pull a gap then after I was free, which was enough to just coming out in front of Damon.
11 points clear still, Germany coming up. You confident for that one?
Yeah, as confident as I can be in the moment.
Thank you, Michael.
Pleasure.